despite the short notice. Thanks for granting our request. And also, I would like to thank Tony Power for helping out to make this event a success. It was just yesterday morning that I informed him, and within a very short period of time, he was able to at least get the indulgence of the Lord Mayor of Cork, and we owe that success to him. And even this morning, we had some technical difficulties in our network, which prevented us from using the Teams Event Live, which is supposed to be a more robust platform that will accommodate even more than 200 people at a time. But I think going forward, or if there's another opportunity, we might be able to use that platform. But because of the technical difficulties in the government network, it is not possible for us to make use of that facility today. So that is why we decided to at least choose some few representatives from the Nigerian Youth in Cork to address the Lord Mayor on the present happenings in our country. Thanks very much, everybody.
Can I just interject there before we start, Lord Mayor? Do you want to just say a few words or anything before the start?
Sorry?
I was just saying, Lord Mayor, do you just want to say a few words before you actually start?
Oh yeah. just a couple of brief words, Tony. Thank you very much. My name is I'm Councillor Joe Kavanagh. I'm Lord Mayor of Cork, and I was contacted this morning about this meeting. I was tied up with the schools this morning, virtual school visits, would you believe? So we're in very difficult times at the moment in this country as well, with this, as you are obviously in Nigeria as well, with the COVID pandemic. So the school visits went ahead today virtually. So that's where I was all morning, and I just came back into the office, so I hooked into this. I've been looking at the goings on and what's happening in your country at the moment, which is quite disturbing. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs and the detail on it, which I'm sure you're going to tell me all about it anyway at the moment. Each and every one of you now are obviously have made Cork your home, and made Ireland your home as such, and you know, I think it's obviously you'll be very passionate about your own country and what's going on there, because I'm sure most of you have family and friends still living in Nigeria, and we obviously do have a Department of Foreign Affairs that we can certainly make representations to, and I can certainly, as Lord Mayor, make a representation to the Department of Foreign Affairs on your behalf, based on what you have to say, and a liaison with our social inclusion unit here in City Hall, through Tony's department, Tony Power's department. So, look, that's all I've got to say, and listen to me, I'm delighted to be on. We are an all-inclusive country, we are an all-inclusive city, and we embrace everybody that comes and makes Cork our home and enriches the social fabric of our city and indeed our country. So I, for one, obviously I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you, not only to the meeting here, but to our city and our country. And absolutely, we're privileged to have so many different nationalities living in our country and indeed our city. It makes our city a better place to live, a better place to grow, and a better place to a better economy as well, you know, because everybody contributes in lots of different ways. So thank you so much for making the effort and showing the passion that you do, and delighted to be a part of whatever you want to do moving forward. Thank you. That's all I have to say, Tony.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Charles, I'll hand over to you, and whoever wants to, you can control from here on in.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor Joe Kavanagh, for having us today. We are privileged to have this opportunity with you today, and we, the Nigerian Youths of Cork City, we just want to express our gratitude for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to have this meeting with us today. We aim not to take too much of your time because we know time is precious, and there's going to be 5 speakers today. starting with Nafiu, who is going to discuss and just give us a brief outline of what SARS is, and just give us a brief description of the life of Nigerians in the diaspora, so those outside Nigeria, and how it actually affects them right now at this moment. So secondly, we have Tower. Tower is going to discuss her own personal experience with SARS, this forces that's been terrorizing our people in Nigeria. Many people who have had that opportunity, or misfortune, should I say, of experiencing an encounter with them are not here to tell their tales. And then thirdly, we have Rachel. Rachel is here today to give us a brief overview of what had happened, the massacre that took place in Lekki, which is the toll gate in Nigeria on the 20th of the 10th, 2020. Many lives which was claimed that night. And I myself, my name is David. I will be just giving you a brief overview again on what our governments are doing or not doing right now regarding this matter. And then lastly, Angela will be giving us the 5 demands and the general demands which Nigerians are demanding from the Nigerian government, and what we would like the Irish government and yourself to do for us in terms of amplifying the voice of those who can't speak right now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lord Mayor. My name is Nafiu, and I live here in Cork. I am an asylum seeker. I am here to speak to you, but as you have said, what SARS is. SARS is a department of the Nigerian Police Force, meaning Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and that is vested with the duty of curbing the activities of armed robbers and related issues that are, that is crime. So it was established to just make sure that there is security of life and properties, and their heart and their modus operandi of this particular department within the ambit of the law. So the problem with the SARS now is that they don't operate within the ambit of the law. They go about harassing people, going outside their legitimate duty by attacking any youth, anybody they feel maybe it can be a criminal, can be an armed robber, without necessary investigation. They go ahead, they go as far as taking law into their hands, because even in the acts that establish them, they should arrest and hand over to the appropriate authorities for prosecution, which is the court. But they do the arrest and they do the judgment by killing many innocent people who they feel on their own are armed robbers or are just criminals. And this has led to many of us running away to many countries, especially we youth, and declaring asylum as such. And because it has affected many youth so much that they are all over the world running for one thing or the other. So I am here as one of the victims to speak about that. And as such, another thing is that we are here as Nigerians presently have been bombarded so many calls of our families and friends being killed, injured, and this has, of course, affected our sense of, reasoning. It is affecting us emotionally. It's making our lives unbearable, even though we are not under any attack here. But the fact that you have your children, you have your wife, you have your relatives, and so many, friends that are being involved, and everything is on standstill. Nobody knows what will happen the next minute. So this, among many other reasons, has made us to come together to seek your indulgence and assistance in trying to speak to the power that be for them to intervene in at least making our youth and our families secured in that country. And that is just the major reason that I'm speaking. so that you, Ireland, and many other countries of the world will be able to get other legitimate asylum and not asylum from country that is so blessed that could even be happy to take people in as asylum seeker, because Nigeria is so blessed with so many mineral resources and talent. I shouldn't be talking about that because of time. So that is basically what we are talking about, and that is what I've come to speak about. Thank you.
So on the call right now, we should have Tawa. Tawa is going to share her personal experience with the SARS agents. Over to you, Tawa. If you're on board, you may need to unmute your microphone. In the absence of Tower, I'm going to share my own personal experience with the SARS agents. Now, my experience is not a direct experience with these agents. My experience was being safeguarded for having to face these agents. When I go to my own country, I went in 2018 with my wife, and at the airport, there were these agents there who were there to protect us. So a naive Irish Nigerian man that I am, I had a question. I had a question to ask these police what the necessary processes would be in order to be able to drive legally in Nigeria. And you had to have been there to see the fear in my parents. For me, thinking about even approaching one of these people. And I could not understand why. I mean, if I see a member of the Garda Síochána on the streets here of Cork City, I feel safe and I feel confident that I can walk up to these people and make inquiries. I feel safe that I can go into a Garda station and make inquiries. But sadly, it is not the same. It's not the same in my country, Nigeria, because these people are known to be terrorists, legal terrorists within the Nigerian society. So that day, I found that my home is not a home that is as welcoming and as safe as I'd like it to be. When you can't safely go up to the police to make a simple inquiry, they hold their guns, and that gun, I didn't feel intimidated going to them, but I felt fear. I was shaken. I was dragged by the hands and pushed physically into the car to keep me safe. And I remember that journey driving from the airport in Murtala International Airport over to our home place in Lagos and being lectured, and my father driving frantically in fear from the airport because I have just made us a target for these people. I have made us a target that they may ring ahead to stop us. I made us a target that we were their next victim. That they could have pulled us over at any time or set up a roadblock at any time to stop us, to extort us, potentially kill us if we fail to give them money. That is not a Nigeria that we want to have, and that was the reality of SARS. Though I did not face them, and I'm grateful that I didn't, because I'm here alive to tell this tale. But that is unfortunately the reality of the people who live there every single day. I've seen this on live, on Instagram, I've seen videos, and it's terrifying because I felt that fear. And that fear it's so internalized that I don't think I can go to Nigeria and face the police the same way, with the confidence which I went to them initially. And I'm glad that I'm here in Ireland in a safe place. But many people aren't privileged to have this privilege to live amongst you. Thank you. So next we have Rachel. Rachel is going to give us an overview of the Lekki incidents that took place on the 20th of October, only a few days ago.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, for this opportunity, and I won't take so much of your time. So I'll just give you a rundown of the horrific incident that took place on the 20th of October. So due to the ongoing SARS, there have been peaceful protests in Nigeria, people have been protesting that we need an end to SARS because of the crimes they've been committing so far. So there were protests all over the country in different locations. And one of the locations was in Lagos, Lekki, where we have a toll gate. So on the 20th of October, the Lagos state government actually announced that there will be a curfew in Lagos at 9 p.m. But to everyone's surprise, at about 6:40 or 6:50 p.m., we could all see that the Nigerian army started moving in with their vehicles and their guns, armor tanks. They were at the toll gate. And prior to that, we had video clips we could see on social media, and information was passed around that they actually took out the cameras that were at the toll gates. So from what we could see, they had intentions. They took off the cameras, and by the time it was getting late, they turned off the lights at the toll gates. When the lights were turned off, in a few minutes, because people were actually recording this live on Twitter and on Instagram, we could hear gunshots from the Nigerian army. They were literally shooting at the peaceful protestants. So they were actually just standing, singing the Nigerian anthem, waving their flag, and everyone was waiting. It was not yet time for the curfew, and the Nigerian army started shooting at peaceful protesters. Like, we literally had to watch that on screen because we had people that were live at the moment. It was really, really horrific. And also at that moment, we were having issues with the network providers. So the network in that area was actually very poor. And from the live videos which went round, because even people in other countries had to tune in live to see what was going on, we could hear the gunshots, even those of us here in Ireland. It went on for about 15 to 30 minutes. They kept on shooting and shooting. And these were all calm people that were just protesting. We just need an end to SARS. We just need justice. We just want peace. We just want to leave. That's all we were asking for. They were literally unarmed. Innocent people were shot and were killed. I had to watch that. A whole lot of us had to watch that because people were live. From the videos, we could see where they were trying to help people. We could hear the gunshots. And everyone was just trying to get everyone to safety. There were videos where people were trying to improvise to stop the bleeding. You could see people bleeding on the live videos. And something that also got us pissed was that people were actually calling for help. So they spoke to different hospitals and ambulances were coming in. But the Nigerian army stopped them from going in to help people. They also made their videos. We have them live, which I'm sure by the end of this section, we can send that to you as part of the evidence that we have. They stopped the ambulance, they stopped the doctors, they stopped the nurses, so they didn't have access to the injured casualties. It was really, really horrific because on the live video, we saw people dying. We saw people pleading with their loved ones. Just stay with me, applying pressure. People even had to improvise sterilized instruments to bring out bullets from those that were injured. It was really horrific. Most of us watching the videos, we were literally crying. Like, it was really a very bad day. And this happened on the 20th of October. And after that, we're trying to, the government actually came out and they had literally had nothing else to say to us. Like, till this moment, no one has taken responsibility for those killings. The number of casualties at the moment, we are not so sure because the government is just trying to cover everything up. They said there were no casualties. But we saw this live because people were live on Instagram, on Twitter. We could see the videos. It was happening. We have recordings. We saw people bleeding. We saw people dying. We watched people die. That's a memory that forever, I don't think I will ever forget that because I had to watch that. And I'm sure the rest of us, we all saw that. It was a very, very sad moment for us because we saw people dying. We have so far about 98 casualties, 12 casualties. We're not so sure of the numbers till now. So we just wanted to let you know that this is what's going on. And the 20th of October was a very sad day for Nigeria. Even speaking about it, my emotions are really, really high right now because it was really horrific.
Thank you, Rachel. So, next, my name is David once again, and I'm just addressing what our government is doing right now. As Rachel said, so far, there's been very little to no accountability in terms of what is happening. There's been previous demands to bring an end to this SARS that's causing havoc. And on numerous occasions, the government has come forward and posted on Twitter or something along those lines to say that SARS has been going back as far as the same again in 2018 when the people demanded the same in 2019, and here we are again in 2020. There is no official executive order by our president to bring an end to these forces. The latest development that we have so far is that they have created a new force to replace this force called SWAT. And the Nigerian people, we don't have confidence in our government right now because we believe that those are still the same people. When we asked regarding the end of SARS, they said that SARS officials will be moved into Nigerian forces within Nigeria, and there is currently no accountability for those who have lost their lives. So the people are obviously demanding for an end to SWAT as well. If we have a rebranded SARS, then we still have the same problem, just with a new name. The people have said of having SARS in any shape or form, they want an end. So Angela will be going over the demands of the people. But just to give you a bit more of a brief on what the government is doing right now, Governor Sanwo-Olu, who is the governor of Lagos, came out to say that there were no casualties. The people of Nigeria believe that this is a disrespect to those who have lost their lives. And it's a dig to the Nigerian people who had to witness these obscene and horrific scenes. We'd had to watch people die. We watched people die live on Instagram. These were not doctored images as claimed by the Nigerian army. The army came out and said that they were never present. They were present, though we saw them. We saw them in their uniforms, we saw their tanks, we saw their guns, we saw them shoot, we saw them. But our army are refusing to take responsibility. Our army have come forward to say that they were not there. Our army took screenshots of Sahara Reporter, which is a reputable news source in Nigeria, a very one who's proven to show alternative media in Nigeria. They've come forward and reported things that the mainstream media refused to show. They took screenshots from those and said that that is fake news. Though we were there, not physically, but we had loved ones who were there, who saw these things happen. We had famous DJs, we had people who were live with hundreds of thousands of people watching this massacre take place, but yet our government, our politicians, our governor, our president are not taking responsibility. This is a normal occurrence in Nigeria. No one takes a responsibility for anything. And we're just being passed around from Billy to Jack, though there is no consistency. There is no consistency because we had Atiku came out and came forward to express his concerns and poured his out to say, and it condemns the government for not taking responsibility. It condemns the government for the fatalities that have taken place. Sanwo-Olu came out, the governor of Nigeria, to say that he went to hospitals to visit these people who were wounded. He went forward to see people who were wounded by the Nigerian army that was not present. So nothing adds up. We don't know who to listen to. We can't listen to anyone because there is no accountability going on. As well as that, then, our president came out yesterday to address the nation, supposedly live, and there is sufficient information out there to say that that was not a live recording either. The people do not believe that the videos that was posted on NTA television yesterday was live. So the people are asking that we have a government that we can actually rely on. As well as that, then, there is recent development showing that the COVID-19 palliatives that was supposed to be distributed to the people in March of 2020 were hidden away in a warehouse in Pestac, which is in Lagos. A 60 feet by 60 feet warehouse full to the brim. Absolutely full to the brim of food. Things that are supposed to keep the nation alive. Markets were shut down. People were told to stay home. Instead, they boiled little pieces of rice and donated small portions of food amongst the people. It was insufficient and it wasn't enough, and people were starving. These were only just discovered yesterday, and that has been going around on social media, and yet no one is taking responsibility. So we are tired, and we are asking for assistance from governments across the world to pressurize the Nigerian government to take accountability, and we demand justice for the people who have passed away. Thank you for listening to me today. And Angel will go on to just clear up the demands that the Nigerian people have.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, for the opportunity to express our minds, our hearts are so broken. Our hearts are so broken. We have so many demands from the Nigerian government. We as youth, part of us living in Dublin and close to Dublin, actually went to the Embassy of Nigeria yesterday to speak with the ambassador. After 12 hours standing outside protesting, our ambassador refused to speak to us. She refused to come out. She refused to acknowledge our presence. When she arrived in the morning, we saw that she was laughing. That's how much it takes our country serious. She was escorted yesterday around 9-10 o'clock, or should I say Wednesday, by the guards, with absolutely no acknowledgement of our existence. I want to start off by saying that we need to call her accountable because she represents us here in Ireland. She is our so-called ambassador, so she has to live to her role. She has communications with the government. She is their representative here, so she has no excuse to keep quiet. We have 5 demands that has been listed from Nigeria towards the government of Nigeria. The first demand was to release protesters who were protesting outside all over Lagos and other states. Most of them have been released. But can you imagine, in the 21st century, human beings are being detained for standing up to their human rights. They are being locked up in prison because they are speaking up against the government. We in Ireland are able to do that freely, but in Nigeria they're not. We demand for justice also for the deceased victims of police brutality and compensation for their families. So many lives have been lost, especially breadwinners, those that bring food to the table of many families in Nigeria. These men and women who go out each day to hustle for their families are killed every day, leaving their children and loved ones behind. We want justice for them. We're asking you to help us, to reach out to our government with every power that you can to compensate these families. We also want to we want independent bodies to be set up to oversee investigations and prosecutions of the police force that have acted in a misconductive manner. We want there to be investigations. It has been normalized to put things under the carpet and not deal with it in Nigeria. Every single policeman, SARS officer needs to be brought to court. They need to be charged and prosecuted. We don't want them in their positions anymore. We want them to be psychologically evaluated. Imagine walking out on the streets of Cork City and a guard that stops you, takes your phone off you, demands some money. That's not normal. The police force needs to be psychologically evaluated. And also the military, who shot at innocent victims, innocent protesters outside the Lekki toll gate. And I'm sure we all know that in military training they are told not to shoot at innocent civilians, especially if they are unharmed. So this is a violation of our human rights. There needs to be training of all disbanded SARS officers before they are redeployed. Adequate training. Most of these men actually have to buy their own uniforms. Can you imagine? They get only one uniform and there is their responsibility to get another one if it tears. They don't get paid. They get peanuts. That is one of the reasons they terrorize our people. So our fifth demand is to increase their salaries so that they are adequately compensated for protecting lives and properties. So please, we're calling on the government of Nigeria to take accountability for everything that has happened. We're calling on the government, especially Buhari, if he doesn't change, he needs to step down. The ambassador of Nigeria in Dublin, if she doesn't address us, she too needs to step down. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Angel. And I hand over to you, Charles. Thank you once again, Lord Mayor, for having us today. We're very grateful for taking your time to listen to us. This has been a very difficult time in our lives, for the lives of our families, for those of our loved ones, and those whom we don't know who have passed away through no fault of their own, but passed away because they stood up for their rights, and they stood up for justice. They stood up for the people of Nigeria, for the youth of Nigeria, so they can live and see another day, but they're not in that position right now. So it is paramount, and it is our responsibility as humans, because we have emotions, and we stand for what is right. And we are grateful. We're grateful to be given this opportunity, especially in Ireland, having a safe place. We just want to express our gratitude again one more time, and to say that if there's any way, in any way, shape or form, that you can render your assistance as Lord Mayor to propose to governments in any way, shape or form that they can interfere or put pressure on our government to make positive change for the future of the youth of Nigeria, so I can go home and come back, so I don't go home and be dead. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And my special thanks again go to the Lord Mayor of Cork City, Joe Kavanagh, and also to Tony Power for making this brief discussion a success. If I have to summarize what my fellow Nigerians have said in just a few words, is that we as Nigerians have a right to live be in the public domain, and this fact is supposed to be known by the entire world. Before he became the president of Nigeria, he was the spokesman and the representative of the Boko Haram terrorist group. You cannot be an outsider and be a spokesman of a particular group. It's not possible. It is a person that is sympathetic to the plight of the terrorists. That is why, instead of using the Nigerian armed forces to fight against the terrorists, to fight against the herdsmen, he has not done that. Instead, he's using the Nigerian armed forces to fight against the harmless protesters, protesting for their life to live, protesting for their life to earn a living, protesting for their life to education, protesting for their rights to good health, protesting for their rights to basic amenities of life. This, so every civilized nation on earth, are basic human rights that's supposed to be granted to every citizen. That they are not citizens are not supposed to even request for those basic human rights. They are fundamental human rights entrenched in every constitution, including the Irish Constitution. But this, the Nigerian government, led by Buhari, have denied us. Instead, the arms they're supposed to use in fighting terrorists and the herdsmen, killing Nigerians, are now being used to kill innocent Nigerians. Herdsmen in Nigeria that are from the same tribe as the president has killed more than 5,000 Nigerians. Not a single arrest has been made.
Mr. Charles, I think we are deviating from the point.
No, we are not deviating.
Let us speak. I think you are talking what
Nafiu, finish, please.
There are Nigerians and we are not supposed to speak on allegations on confirmed reports. Whatever everybody has said to the Lord Mayor today as
hello. So this is not unconfirmed. Like myself, I am a victim of the herdsmen. The herdsmen has killed my own brothers and my own sisters. Not a single arrest was made. So if I'm not talking based on unconfirmed reports. This is something that is in the public domain. So if people that are killing innocent Nigerians are not being arrested, why should harmless civilians be killed with the same taxpayers' arms and ammunitions? That is the anger of almost all Nigerians. And that is where we want the international community to come to our aid. And the Lord Mayor, sir, you are in a unique position to help us. You are the Lord Mayor of Cork, and by God's grace, you have the two most powerful public officers under your domain. The Taoiseach, Mayor Martin, and the Minister for External Affairs, Simon Kavanagh. I will indulge you, sir, to use your good office, to use your influence, to use your power to convince them to do anything possible for them to raise the plight of the Nigerian, for them to raise the plight of Nigerians to the international community, for them to come to our aid. If they can raise it within the Irish Parliament, good. If they can influence the EU to look into the issue at a broader perspective, also better for us. These are the things we seek, sir.
That concludes our meeting for today. We'd just love to hear your thoughts, Lord Mayor, on the issue at hand.
Yeah, well, I suppose in conclusion, just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for opening up and giving your account of what is actually happening in your country of Nigeria at the moment, where you obviously have many family members and friends and so on living there at the moment, and obviously you are very concerned for their welfare and their future, and indeed your own future and welfare should you decide to go back to Nigeria at any time. This is most definitely an issue for the international community. It's definitely an issue for the EU and for our government to make representations to the EU. And we do have representatives. Obviously, we are a member of the EU in Ireland, and certainly I will certainly make my concerns as highlighted, and I mean they are horrific. What you have explained, and what you have explained of various incidents that have happened, the lack of confidence you have in your police force, in your army, the obvious lack of structure there, the obvious lack of connectivity between the police force and the community is nothing short of horrific. And look, this is something that does need to be looked at. It does need to be investigated, and we're very lucky here, as you've quite correctly said, David, in Ireland. We have a civic society, we have a democratic society, we have what I would like to think is a good police force, good defence forces, and so on. And in general, we have a good civic society in Ireland. As I said at the very start, by the many nationalities that have made Ireland their home. So I will certainly, as Lord Mayor, I will certainly make representations on your behalf by virtue, and I will liaise with our social inclusion unit here in City Hall through Tony Power, and I will certainly make representations and voice my concerns on the basis of the representations that you have made here this afternoon and today. And what happens from that, we will just have to I liaise back to Tony, and we can liaise back with you guys then as such. I think that's probably the best way to go in terms of actually getting something done, instead of going around the houses as you quite correctly said earlier, David, and going from Billy to Jack and bouncing around and becoming a bit of a talking shop. I hate talking shops, to be honest with you. Anybody that knows me, at the end of the day, I prefer just to find ways of actually getting something done, and the only way to get something done here, I mean, if I stand up and I ring up the president of Lagos or the president of Nigeria and I tell him, hi, I'm Joe Kavanagh, Lord Mayor of Cork, first of all, he probably wouldn't know where Cork is. And secondly, he'd probably laugh down the phone at me. But if the president of the European Union picked up the phone and said, hey guys, we've got a NATO army here who are not very happy with you guys, and we're doing an in-depth root and branch investigation into what's going on, because we are we are a member of EU. You are as close to Irish citizens, a lot closer to being an Irish citizen and those of you that aren't, than your president in Nigeria is. So we do have an obligation, certain obligation, obviously, to your welfare, the welfare of your families. And but look, that's where I'm going to go with it, and I just like to allude to Tony there. Tony, do you want to comment on that?
No, thank you, Lord Mayor. Yeah, I think that's we liaise about making the representations, and I can feed back to the Nigerian community, probably through Charles is probably the easiest way. I would like to say thank you for actually sharing that story with us here today. To be honest, it has reminded us of our own troubles in the north, and even the centenary at the moment with the Black and Tans here in Ireland. And it's on one level, we actually take it for granted our life here in Cork and Ireland. And it's very easy not to actually, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I do acknowledge what has happened. I acknowledge you coming on here today. I found it very informative, shocking, terrible, and whatever we can do, insofar as what we can do, obviously we will. Any more than that, I can't really say.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to that. If you look at the background behind Tony, that's, as you know, that's City Hall. And we are celebrating the year of commemoration here. And what we're commemorating is that building behind Tony being burnt down 100 years ago by the English. This is a year of commemoration in Cork, and we've lots of commemorative events. And I myself are going out next Sunday to lay a wreath at the graves in Cork of some of the patriots who gave their lives for our state and for our country. So we have been down the road, I suppose, as Tony quite correctly says, in recent years, quite similar to yourselves, but in this day and age, thankfully our country has found its feet, and the fact we're members of the EU as well, I think is very important in terms of both economic and political stability. It is very important that it's very important for our country that we are part of a bigger force. And when I see England or Britain or Great Britain announcing Brexit and they're leaving the EU and so on, sometimes I scratch my head and I say, why the hell are they doing that? Sometimes. But anyway, I'm not going to start getting into a political rant. But by the same token, maybe there's a case there for United States of Africa. But that's a bigger picture, and that's a story to be told another day. But the few things that really struck home at me, quite emotional. I know, Angel, you're quite emotional about the whole thing, and you're very passionate about your country, and as you should be. And I take my hat off to you, so well done, as you all are. But when I hear the word corruption being associated with people who are at the higher echelons of the political family, really, it is always a worry, and it's always a concern, and it should be a concern to the international community. So, I mean, I applaud your I suppose your campaign to an extent to try and shout from the rooftops that you are concerned that things are not as they should be in your country, and the more rooftops that you shout from, the more your voice will be heard. I'm a little voice here in Cork, and as Tony will know, we like to call Cork the real capital of Ireland. We're a very proud, very resilient bunch here in Cork. And we like to call ourselves the Rebel County. And but by the same token, when we shout, we bark. And hopefully our voices will be heard. And we have political leaders in Dublin. We have political leaders in Brussels. And I will certainly copy my communication and in conjunction with Tony and the Social Inclusion Unit here in Cork City Hall, we will message these people and express our concerns, express your concerns at the various highest level from City Hall here in Cork. Because as I said to you at the very outset, you are a fabric of our social fabric. You're part of our social fabric here in our city. And it's very important to us that everybody living in our city feels comfortable living in their city, but also feels comfortable about where they came from and how their country is today. Obviously, we can't, if there's a general election in Nigeria, we have no influence on what goes on there. We're not the United States. And we don't have Donald Trump here, thankfully. But anyway, as I say, when I get political, sometimes I go off in a rant and I might say something I shouldn't say. So look, I'm just going to leave you with this one, that's what we're going to do, and I hope you're clear on that. make representations, and I talk to Tony on it, and we'll see where we go from there. And what comes back will be relayed back to you guys through Tony. Tony will liaise with Charles, and hopefully it'll be a very transparent process, but we will make our voices heard here in Cork, if that's okay. Tony?
Yeah, thank you, Lord Mayor. I think that's as far as we can go for today. If you're all happy enough with that, we might just call a halt to today's meeting. Charles, if that's okay with you?
Definitely. Thanks, Tony. I'm very grateful for what you said, for making our time.
Are you okay with that, so folks? So thank you very much. I had school visits earlier today, and I gave everybody a half day and homework off. So you all have a half day and homework off today.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all.